Welcome to Cozy Crimson Mysteries. I'm Alistair Gray. Right now, somewhere between Karachi's noon heat and Lahore's winter breeze, you've dimmed the lights, poured the chai, and stepped into 1926. Tonight, a house that drinks blood, a room locked from within, and Hercule Poirot refusing to blink. Chapter 1, Introduction and Setup. He is a small man 5'4" in his lifts, but every inch is ordered. The parting in his hair could slice bread. His those magnificent moustaches are waxed to such symmetrical perfection that they might have been drafted by a naval architect. He regards them in the mirror, gives the left one a fractional twist and nods, satisfied. On the mantel-shelf an invitation lies open like a white-gloved hand. Thick cream card, black letter script, sealed in crimson wax with a crest, a thorn-wreathed raven. Mr. Hercule Poirot, Blackthorn Abbey, Nunva Saltmarsh, Kent. Friday 13th of October, Monday 16th. A weekend of theatrical diversion. Dress for dinner. Bring your wits. F. Harrogate Poirot dislikes theatrics. He dislikes the number 13. He dislikes Kentish damp. Yet something in the phrasing "bring your witch" has pricked the vanity of the greatest detective in Europe. He folds the card with a crisp snap, slips it into his waistcoat, and addresses his reflection. Poirot, soft, precise, Belgian accent. Very well, mon vieux. Let us see what game this Harrogate plays. Sound. Bentley engine purring to life. Gravel under tyres. The journey south is a study in English melancholy. Georges, Poirot's valet, drives with the solemnity of a funeral cortege. Beyond the windscreen, hedgerows bleed crimson leaves. Crows wheel like torn paper. The road narrows, climbs, then plunges toward the sea. At dusk the cliffs rise black teeth against a copper sky, and there, perched on the edge of England like a gargoyle, squats Blackthorn Abbey. Imagine a house built by a man who hated sunlight. Constructed in 1789 by Sir Reginald Blackthorne, a botanist who crossed deadly nightshade with architecture. Towers lean inward, as though eavesdropping. Gargoyles half bat, half child-leer from every cornice. The windows are narrow, ecclesiastical, stained with scenes of martyrdom. Ivy does not climb the walls, it devours them, thick as pythons. George slows. The gates wrought iron, spear-tipped stand open. A sign swings. Private. Trespassers will be regretted. Poirot's nostrils flare. Poirot. Observe. George the hinges. Recently oiled. Someone expects visitors. They ascend a drive flanked by yew trees clipped into mourning figures. Gravel crunches like bone. At the summit, the abbey reveals its full monstrosity. 3 stories of blackened Kentish ragstone, a widow's walk, and a single lit window glowing like a cat's eye. The Bentley halts before a porte cochere. A butler tall, skeletal, face the colour of old parchment awaits. His name is Jeeveson. He has served the Blackthorns for 40 years, though the family died out in 1896. Rumour says he stays for the house. Jeeveson, sepulchral. Mr. Poirot, the master is expecting you. Poirot steps down. The air smells of salt, peat smoke, and something metallic blood. Rust, carried on the wind. Inside, the great hall is a cavern of shadows. A fire the size of a small bonfire roars in a hearth carved with grinning imps. Above, a chandelier hundreds of candles drips wax in slow, viscous tears. Portraits glare, Blackthorn ancestors with eyes scratched out. 6 guests turn as Poirot enters. Let me paint them for you, one by one, as Poirot catalogues them with the precision of a lepidopterist pinning butterflies. 1. Mr. Felix Harrogate, the host. 45, handsome in the way of a damaged statue. Hair silver at the temples, eyes the pale blue of a winter sea. He wears a velvet smoking jacket the colour of spilled claret. His laugh is sudden, theatrical, and ends too abruptly. He claps Poirot on both shoulders. Felix. The great Poirot. At last, a real detective for my little charade. 2. Lady Beatrice Vale. Felix's wife, though they have lived apart for 5 years. Once the toast of the West End, now 38, and fighting the years with gin and coal. Her gown is black lace over poison green. A diamond choker glitters like a noose. She smiles at Poirot, but her eyes remain on Felix, measuring, calculating. Beatrice, low, husky. Try the 21 claret, monsieur. It's the only thing here that doesn't lie. 3. Dr. Mortimer Crane, Harley Street surgeon, struck off 2 years ago for unorthodox resuscitation techniques. Tall, stooped, fingers stained faint yellow from formaldehyde. His smile reveals too many teeth. He carries a black medical bag everywhere, even to dinner. Crane. I preserve life, monsieur. Sometimes, beyond its natural span. 4. Miss Evelyn Shaw. Felix's secretary, 22, porcelain skin, eyes the colour of storm clouds. She flinches when spoken to. Her notebook is always open, but the pages are blank. She wears a silver locket that never leaves her throat. Evelyn, barely audible. Mr. Harrogate is generous. 5. Captain Rupert Blake, late of the Dorsets, hero of Passchendaele, missing the index and middle fingers of his left hand. His dress uniform is threadbare at the cuffs, a prosthetic hand brass and leather clicks when he salutes. His eyes are flat, khaki brown, and fixed on Felix with the patience of a sniper. Blake. I owe Harrogate a debt. One day I'll repay it. 6. Madame Zara, spiritualist medium to the crowned heads of Europe, or so she claims. 50. Ageless, draped in midnight silk and mourning beads. Her eyes are wet coal. When she stares, the fire dims. A crystal ball travels in a velvet pouch at her belt. Zara, voice like smoke. The veil is thin here, the dead walk. Dinner is announced. They process into the banqueting hall, a vaulted chamber where tapestries depict the blackthorn crest being devoured by its own thorns. The table is set for 8 Poirot, the 6 guests, and an empty place at the foot. A card reads, The Gruesome Find. Felix stands, glass raised. Candlelight fractures in the crystal. Felix. Welcome to my murder party. Without the murder, of course. The game is simple. At midnight, each of us hides an object somewhere in the abbey. The last person to find their sleuzes. The prize, bragging rights. The forfeit, a secret told to all. Poirot's eyes narrow. Poirot, softly. A game for children. Yet children do not play with guillotines. The first course arrives. Consommé diable, dark as ink. Flecks of gold leaf floating like eyes. Conversation is barbed. Beatrice leans toward Poirot. Beatrice. Felix bought this house for a song. The previous owner hanged himself from the chandelier. They say the rope grew from the beam. Crane chuckles. Crane. Dry rot, most likely. Though I've seen stranger growths. Blake's prosthetic clicks against his glass. Blake. Some debts can't be paid with money. Evelyn spills her soup. The stain spreads like a map of continents. Madame Zara closes her eyes, sways. Zara. The house hungers. It has tasted blood before. Felix claps, delighted. Felix. Splendid! Atmosphere! Now who's for the tour? They rise. Poirot lingers, studying the empty chair. The place card has been turned over. On the back, in fresh ink. Your move. Poirot. Chapter 2. The crime discovered. The great hall is a cavern of aftershock. Shards of chandelier glass glitter across the parquet like frost. Wax has hardened into crimson stalactites. 6 guests stand frozen in candlelight, mouths half open, as though the air itself has been sucked out of the room. Poirot alone moves. He steps over a fallen candelabrum, patent leather shoes crunching crystal. His silhouette, small, precise, lethal, cuts through the chaos like a scalpel. Poirot, calm, almost conversational. Mesdames et messieurs, the game has changed. Monsieur Harrogate is missing. We search, methodically. They fan out, candle stubs trembling in nervous hands. The abbey is a labyrinth. Corridors that double back, staircases that descend when they should ascend, doors that open onto brick walls laid after the house was built. Poirot marks their progress with a silver propelling pencil on a pocket map. 11:51 p.m. Lady Beatrice checks the conservatory. Glass roof cracked, moonlight dripping through like mercury. Orchids, black, obscene, hang like bats. No Felix. 11:53 p.m. Dr. Crane ascends to the long gallery. Suits of armour clank in the draught. He calls Felix's name. The echo returns mocking. 11:55 p.m. Captain Blake kicks open the billiard room. Balls scattered mid-game as though the players vanished mid-shot. A cigar still smoulders in an ashtray, Felix's brand. 11:57 p.m. Madame Zara glides to the chapel. Candles gutter though no wind stirs. The stained glass cane lifts his stone. Abel's blood drips. Real. Warm onto the altar. 11:59 p.m. Evelyn Shaw sobs in the pantry. Shelves of preserves labelled in a child's hand. Mummy's tears, 1918. She clutches her locket so tightly the chain cuts skin. 20 till midnight. Jeeveson the butler stands before the West Wing library door. His candle reveals the impossible. The door is closed. Oak, iron-banded, medieval. A key protrudes from the lock, on the inside. No sound from within. No light beneath the door. Only the faint rhythmic drip, drip, drip. Like a tap left running. Jeeveson's hand trembles. Jeeveson, hoarse. Master Felix locked himself in at 11:55. I heard him laugh. Poirot arrives, map folded, eyes glittering. He tries the handle. Solid. He knocks. 3 precise taps. Silence. Poirot. Captain Blake, your shoulder. Blake charges. The door shudders but holds. Poirot raises a hand. Poirot. Non. We do not break history. We unlock it. He produces a ring of skeleton keys, a gift from Scotland Yard's Black Museum. The third key turns with a click like a vertebra snapping. The door swings inward on oiled hinges. The library is a perfect cube of darkness. One candle, Jeeveson's, reveals the scene in fragments he might be asleep. Except for the smile, a smile carved from ear to ear. The cut is surgical, so deep the cervical vertebrae glint like ivory. Yet the carpet beneath is dry, save for a perfect circle of crimson, 3 feet in diameter, glossy as fresh paint. No spray, no spatter, no weapon. Poirot steps inside. The air is wrong, thick with formalin and something sweeter, like rotting lilies. He kneels, touches the blood circle with a gloved finger. It is warm. Poirot. Impossible. A man does not lose 4 pints of blood and leave none on the floor, unless the floor drinks. He looks up. The ceiling rose is carved with thorns. A single drop of blood hangs, trembles, falls, splat into the circle. It is absorbed instantly. Captain Blake retches into a handkerchief. Lady Beatrice laughs, a sound like glass dragged across slate. Beatrice. Well, darling, you always said you wanted to be the centre of attention. Dr. Crane kneels opposite Poirot, medical bag open. He lifts Felix's eyelid with a thumb. The pupil is fixed, dilated. Crane. Rigour absent. Liver mortis. Wrong. Blood should pool in the buttocks, yet here... He presses the corpse's hand, no blanching. It's empty. Evelyn Shaw screams, a single sharp note, then faints. Madame Zara catches her, whispering in a language that makes the candle flames bend. Poirot stands. He opens Felix's waistcoat. Beneath, a catheter taped to the femoral artery, tube disappearing into the chair's upholstery. The tube is empty. Chapter 3. Investigation. Begins. Dawn creeps over the Kentish cliffs like a guilty thing. Pale light leaks through the Abbey's arrow-slit windows, painting the corridors the colour of old bone. The storm has passed, but the air is heavier than before, charged, expectant, as though the house itself is holding its breath. Hercule Poirot has not slept. He stands in the morning room, a chamber panelled in dark oak and lit by a single green-shaded lamp. On the table before him, the silver tray of game objects, the broken gramophone record, the blood-wet locket, and a fresh pot of chocolate so thick it stands when stirred. He sips, eyes half closed, moustaches quivering with each inhalation. George, his valet, enters with a tray of croissants. George. Inspector Japp telephoned from Saltmarsh, sir. Roads flooded. He'll arrive by noon. Poirot. Non. By then the scent will be cold. We begin now. He claps once, sharp as a starter's pistol. The 6 suspects file in, summoned by Jeeveson. They look like survivors of a shipwreck. Beatrice's mascara streaked, Crane's collar askew, Blake's prosthetic hand clicking against his thigh. Only Madame Zara appears composed, beads glinting like frost. Poirot stands beneath a portrait of Sir Reginald Blackthorne, eyes gouged, mouth stitched with black thread. Poirot. Mesdames et messieurs, we have the impossible. A man killed in a sealed room, no weapon, no blood trail. Therefore, the crime is not what it seems. We begin with lies, and we end with truth. He paces, hands clasped behind back, shoes tapping a metronome rhythm on the parquet. Poirot returns to the West Wing library with Captain Blake and Jeeveson. The corpse has been covered with a dust sheet. Beneath it, Felix's smile still grins. Poirot lifts the sheet, studies the throat wound with a magnifying lens. Poirot, observe, the edges, smooth, no hesitation marks, a single stroke, right-handed downward angle, yet the carotid is intact, no spray. Therefore, the heart stopped before the cut. He kneels by the brass drainage grate. With a silver penknife he pries it free. Beneath, a lead pipe, 2 inches diameter, crusted with rust and hair. He extracts a strand, dyed red, henna-scented. Poirot, to Jeeveson, this pipe, where does it lead? Jeeveson, reluctant. The wine cellar, sir. Sir Reginald installed it, for draining. Blake snorts. Blake, draining what? Poirot pours a glass of water into the grate. It vanishes with a gurgle. 30 seconds later, a faint plop echoes from below. Poirot, the Abbey has veins. Poirot, Blake and Dr. Crane descend the stone spiral. The air grows colder, wetter, laced with iron and mould. Their candles throw grotesque shadows. Poirot's head swells to gargantuan size, then shrinks to a pin. The wine cellar is a crypt of barrels, labels in faded ink. Blackthorn 73, Nightshade Infusion. In the centre, the open locket, hair inside now crusted with dried blood. Poirot kneels. He follows the footprints to the brick wall, presses the third brick from the left. It pivots. The secret door swings inward. Beyond, a tunnel, 4 feet high, lined with lead. Condensation drips like sweat. At the end, the mirror. Poirot's reflection stares back, but the eyes are black, pupilless. He raises his candle. The reflection does not. Instead, it smiles. Felix's carved smile. Poirot, mon Dieu, a trick of light, or something worse. He steps forward. The mirror ripples like water. His hand passes through. Cold, colder than ice. He withdraws quickly. The reflection is gone. Only brick. Chapter 4. Clues and Red Herrings. 11:15 a.m. The Abbey is a hive of whispers and creaking floorboards. Sunlight struggles through the stained glass martyrs, fracturing across the great hall in shards of crimson and corpse blue. Inspector Japp has not arrived. The Saltmarsh Road is a river. Hercule Poirot stands at the blackboard, chalk in hand, drawing a perfect circle. Inside it, Felix. 6 lines radiate outward, each labelled with a suspect's name. He taps the circle with the chalk. Tap, tap, tap. Poirot. We have the how. Now we hunt the why, and the who wishes us to chase shadows. He turns. The 6 suspects sit in a semicircle, watched by George and a trembling Aggie. Madame Zara's beads click like rosary bones. Poirot's eyes glitter. Poirot. Today, we test. Every clue will be weighed. Every lie will bleed. Poirot leads Dr. Crane and Captain Blake to the wine cellar. The mirror hangs on the brick wall. Tarnished silver, no frame, 7 feet tall. Condensation beads on its surface like sweat. Poirot presses the glass. It ripples. He steps through. Beyond, a corridor of mirrors. 10 identical Poirots stare back, each a fraction out of sync. The air is thick with formaldehyde and ozone. At the far end, a stone crypt, blackthorn crest carved above the lintel. Inside, a child's coffin, lid ajar, empty. But the satin lining is stained. A perfect circle of dried blood, 3 feet across. Poirot lifts a corner. Beneath, a rubber tube, same gauge as the catheter in Felix's thigh. It leads into the coffin's base, then down into the bedrock. Poirot, soft. The Abbey's true throat, a drainage system older than the house. Blake's prosthetic clicks. Blake. Sir Reginald's experiments. He bred plants that drank blood. Crane nods, pale. Crane. I read the diaries. He believed the house was alive, fed it. Volunteers. Poirot pockets a scrap of satin, monogrammed FH 1918. Poirot. Felix was here as a child. The game began then. Poirot sets 3 traps. Trap 1. the pendulum. He rigs fishing line from the ceiling rose, a razor blade on a string, leaves a note, the killer's weapon. At 1:17 p.m, Lady Beatrice is caught examining it. Beatrice: I thought it was part of the game. Poirot measures the swing. Poirot: Too slow. Would take minutes to cut throat. Our wound was instant. You wasted your time, madam. Trap 2. The diary. Poirot adds a new page. The killer's name is on the crypt wall. At 1:42 p.m, Captain Blake returns from the cellar, knuckles scraped. Blake: Nothing there but dust. Poirot checks the crypt. Fresh scratches. Blake was here. Poirot: You wrote your own accusation. Why protect another? Trap 3. The gramophone. Poirot repairs the broken record. The B-side plays a second voice, female, whispering, "The child must stay pure." He plays it for the household. Madame Zara smiles. Zara: My voice, from a séance. Felix recorded it to mock me. Poirot nods. Poirot: Truth. But the record was scratched to hide the timing. The séance was last night, after Felix was dead. Chapter 5. Complications and twists. The Abbey is a drum of water and wind. Evelyn Shaw, freed from the coffin nursery, sits wrapped in blankets in the morning room, sipping brandy with chattering teeth. Poirot stands at the window silhouetted against lightning that turns his moustaches silver. Poirot: Bien, we have the pieces, now the picture moves. He spins. The 6 suspects, plus Evelyn, are arranged in a half moon. Inspector Japp has finally arrived, soaked, moustache drooping. He nods to Poirot. Japp: Bodies at the morgue. You've got till dawn, Poirot. Then it's my collar. Poirot smiles thinly. Poirot: Non, it is mine. Aggie screams from the west wing. They run. The library door, sealed since discovery, is open. Inside, Dr. Mortimer Crane lies across the desk, throat cut identically to Felix. Fresh blood pools. Real this time. The miniature guillotine is clutched in his dead hand, blade red. Japp: Same killer? Poirot. Niels sniffs. Non, this blood sprays. Arterial. Crane was alive when cut. Felix was not. He lifts Crane's sleeve. A catheter bruise. Old. Poirot: Crane drained Felix. Then someone drained him. Captain Blake steps forward, prosthetic hand clicking. Blake: I did it. Both. Felix ruined my regiment. Called us cowards in the press. I used the priest hole, the silk cord. Crane helped. Then I silenced him. He drops a bloodied scalpel. Japp: Cuff him. Poirot raises a hand. Poirot: Attendez. Observe the angle. Crane's wound slopes left to right. You're right-handed, Captain. The cut would slope right to left. You protect someone. Blake's eyes flicker to Evelyn. The floor shudders. A low groan rises through the foundations. Books tumble. The brass grate in the library lifts, like a mouth opening. A rubber tube snakes out, still dripping. Poirot: The Abbey feeds. He follows the tube. It leads to the wine cellar mirror, now shattered. Behind, a reservoir, a stone tank half full of blood. Floating, Madame Zara's beads, and a note in Zara's hand. The child must stay pure. Third course served at midnight. Poirot races to the attic nursery. The child's coffin is closed. He opens it. Inside, a boy, age 8, alive, eyes wide, dressed in 1918 sailor suit. Boy, whisper: Mummy said you'd come. She's making me eternal. Poirot lifts him. The boy clutches a locket. Inside, Zara and Felix, 1918. Poirot: Mon Dieu, Felix was her son, stolen, raised as Harrogate. She wants him back, in death. But the throat cuts? Poirot finds a spring-loaded razor hidden in the chair's headrest, triggered by sitting. Poirot: Crane sat to check Felix. The chair killed him. Zara's insurance. Chapter 6. The Revelation. 7:30 p.m. The storm has crawled out to sea, leaving the Abbey dripping like a drowned thing. One lamp burns on the long table. Hercule Poirot stands at its head, hands clasped behind back. Before him, the survivors, Lady Beatrice, Captain Blake, Evelyn Shaw, Jeeveson, the rescued boy clutching George's sleeve. Inspector Japp leans against the mantel, pipe unlit. The child, Reginald Blackthorne the younger, Zara's grandson, sips hot milk. Poirot begins without preamble. Poirot: Mesdames et Messieurs, the impossible is simple once you discard the impossible. Felix Harrogate was not murdered in the library. He was murdered twice, once in life, once in death. Observe. He places the silver tray centre table, 6 objects. He lifts the miniature guillotine. Poirot. Distraction. The real weapon was here. He taps the high-backed chair, now dragged in from the library. He presses a concealed stud in the headrest. A razor blade snaps out on a spring. Snick. Poirot. Triggered by weight. Dr. Crane sat to check the catheter. Slash. Instant death. Madame Zara's insurance. He lifts the vial. Poirot. Pig's blood for the circle. Painted after the body was placed. The real blood went down. He pours water into the drainage grate set in the floor. It gurgles to the wine cellar tank below. Poirot. 4 pints. Collected. Preserved. Fed to the house. He lifts the locket. Poirot. 1918. Felix. Age 37. Posed as a child. Why? Because Madame Zara believed he was her reincarnated son, stolen at birth. She kidnapped him, raised him in the attic nursery, then lost him to the Harrogate family. He returned as an adult, to torment her. Evelyn speaks, voice small. Evelyn. Felix was my father. Zara, my grandmother. She wanted us both preserved, like specimens. Poirot nods. Poirot. The plan, he lifts the brass key. Poirot. Change the crypt lock to force us to the coffin. Inside, the boy, bait. He lifts the marble. Poirot. Formalin inside. Zara's signature. She embalmed Crane post-mortem to hide the chair's blade. He lifts the photograph. Poirot. Scratched faces. Zara's work. She could not bear to see Felix with another. He lifts the record. Poirot. 2 sides. Side A. Felix's death message, recorded weeks ago. Side B. Zara's séance, played live from the cellar via the drainage pipe. Acoustic trick. The ghost was her. He turns to the child. Poirot. You, mon petit, were the final offering. Zara planned to drain you at midnight. 3rd course. But the house rejected her. The mirror swallowed her instead. Jap coughs. Jap. Where is she? Poirot walks to the mirror, now whole, hanging in the hall. He presses. It ripples. A hand emerges. Zara's, claw-like. Then vanishes. The glass seals. Poirot. Gone. The abbey keeps its own. He faces the room. Poirot. The impossible crime was teamwork. The horror was belief. He bows. Poirot. Case closed. The little grey cells. Triumphant. Chapter 7. Justice served. 6 a.m. The Kentish sky is rinsed clean, the colour of weak tea. Blackthorn Abbey stands quiet for the first time since Poirot arrived. No creaking beams, no dripping blood, no mirrors breathing. Only the smell of salt and wet stone. In the great hall, the long table is cleared save for one object, the silver tray, now holding only the broken gramophone record. Hercule Poirot stands beside it, coat buttoned, cane in hand. Inspector Japp finishes his notes. The survivors wait in silence. Poirot, clear final. Finis, the curtain falls, but first, consequences. He turns to each in turn. Madame Zara. The mirror hangs centre wall, surface still as milk. Japp taps it with a knuckle. Thud, solid. Japp, gone. No body, no warrant. Case notes. Disappeared under suspicious circumstances. Poirot nods. Poirot. The Abbey took its due. Some justice is older than the law. 2. Dr. Mortimer Crane. His body lies in the Saltmarsh morgue. Japp. Struck off again, posthumously. Blackmail files found in his bag. Felix had proof of the resuscitation experiments. Live subjects, no consent. 3. Lady Beatrice Vale. She lights a cigarette with steady fingers. Beatrice. Felix's will? A forgery. My handwriting. He left everything to the Saltmarsh cat's home. I get nothing. Poirot smiles faintly. Poirot. Accept your freedom, madame. Painting a blood circle is not murder, but forgery. Scotland Yard will decide. 4. Captain Rupert Blake. He stands at ease, prosthetic hand polished. Blake. I confess to shield the girl. Evelyn's innocent. Japp. Obstruction. 6 months suspended. Your regiment's honour restored in the press. 5. Jeeveson, the butler. He bows, spine rigid. Jeeveson. I serve the house, sir, not the man. Poirot. You moved the body, assisted embalming. But you also left the henna hair in the grate, your quiet rebellion. Retire with pension. The Abbey closes today. 6. Evelyn Shaw and Reginald. The boy, Reginald Blackthorne, holds Evelyn's hand. Evelyn, he's my half-brother. Zara kidnapped him from an orphanage. I didn't know until the coffin. Poirot kneels to the child's height. Poirot. You will go to school in Brussels, mon petit, with your sister. The Blackthorne Trust, real this time, pays. 7. The house. Itself. Jap nails a condemned notice to the front door. Demolition. 1st December 1926. Poirot. Some stones remember too much. Better they sleep under the sea. The Bentley idles on the gravel. George loads the last valise. Poirot pauses at the gates. He looks back. The Abbey's windows are empty. No gargoyles leer, no curtains twitch. Only the raven crest above the door, thorns now broken. Poirot, to the wind. Adieu, Blackthorne. Your hunger is ended. He climbs in. The car crunches away. Behind, the fog rolls in from the cliffs, thick, final, erasing the house footprint by footprint. Denouement. London, 1 week later. Poirot's flat, Baker Street. He sits by the fire, chocolate steaming. A parcel arrives, brown paper, no return address. Inside, the miniature guillotine, blade snapped. A note in childish handwriting. Thank you, monsieur. The game is over. Poirot smiles, sets it on the mantel beside a photograph. The boy and Evelyn, waving from a Brussels tram. Poirot, soft. Parfait, order restored, and the little grey cells, content. Alistair, warm, closing. And there ends Hercule Poirot and the Gruesome Find. 7 chapters, 1 house silenced, 1 detective victorious. If this tale kept you company through fog and storm, share it with a fellow mystery lover. Hit subscribe, ring that bell, and I'll see you in the next shadow. This is Alistair Gray, signing off from Cozy Crimson Mysteries. Until the next impossible crime, Namaste, Pakistan. Good day. Chapter 8. Echoes in the Fog. 1 week has passed since Blackthorne Abbey was condemned. Yet Hercule Poirot cannot close the file. He sits in his Baker Street flat, fire crackling, the miniature guillotine on the mantel glinting whenever the flames leap. The snapped blade has been repaired. By whom? The child's note lies beside it. The game is over. But games, Poirot knows, have sequels. 1. The parcel, 9 Tuscarora M. George enters with the second parcel, same brown paper, no address. Inside, a wax cylinder labelled in red ink. Play me, monsieur. Poirot winds the gramophone. The needle drops. Scratchy child's voice, Reginald. The house isn't gone. It followed us. The mirror is in the wall. Mummy says hello. A woman's whisper beneath. Zara. The cylinder snaps. Poirot's moustaches bristle. Poirot. Impossible. The Abbey is sealed. Demolition began yesterday. He telephones Saltmarsh. The foreman reports, site's empty, sir. No mirrors, but the fog, it moves wrong. 2. The Brussels letter, 10:30 a.m. A telegram arrives from Evelyn Shaw, Brussels, boy missing. Stop locket, found in hotel mirror. Stop come quickly, stop Poirot packs instantly. 1 valise, 1 cane, 1 revolver. 3. The train, 2:00 p.m. The boat train to Dover is half empty. Poirot sits alone in a first-class compartment. Opposite, a mirror above the luggage rack. His reflection lags, a heartbeat behind. He leans forward. The reflection smiles. Felix's carved smile. Poirot, soft. Non, you're finished. He drapes his handkerchief over the glass. The smile vanishes. 4. Brussels, Hôtel Métropole, 8 Rioir p.m. Evelyn meets him in the lobby, eyes hollow. Evelyn. Reginald vanished after breakfast, the maid. Found this? She hands over the locket, inside a new photo. The boy, asleep. Behind him, the library chair, blood circle fresh. Poirot examines the room, suite 217. The wardrobe mirror is cracked in a perfect circle. He presses, it yields. Beyond, fog, and a child's footprint in dust. 5. The mirror path, 9 Tussons p.m. Poirot steps through. The corridor is Blackthorne Abbey, but wrong. Walls breathe, portraits weep. He follows the footprints to the library. The high-backed chair waits. Reginald sits in it, eyes closed, smiling. Poirot. Petit, wake! The boy opens his eyes, black, pupilless. Reginald, Zara's voice. The house needs a new heart. Yours will do. The razor blade snaps out. Poirot sidesteps. He grabs the chair, tips it. The boy tumbles through the floor into fog. 6. The truth, 9:30 p.m. Poirot smashes the mirror with his cane. Behind, not brick, a photographic backdrop. The Abbey is a film set in an abandoned Brussels warehouse. Lights flicker on. A projector whirs. On screen, Zara, alive, smiling. Zara, on film. You thought the house ate me? Non. I ate the house. The boy is safe. With me. This was the real game. Checkmate. Poirot. The screen shows Reginald, awake, waving, in a sunlit garden. A caption. Blackthorn Abbey lives in film. Forever. 7. The real, 10 sus p.m. Poirot finds the film canister hidden in the chair. Label. The gruesome find, director F. Harrogate. Felix planned everything. The murder? Staged with pig's blood and Crane's help. The death? A disappearing act. Zara? His accomplice, not mother. The boy? An actor. The real crime? Fraud. Felix faked his death to escape debts, using the Abbey legend as cover. Zara and the child fled with the insurance money. Poirot burns the film in a waste bin. Poirot. Clever. But fraud is not art. It is theft. Back in London, Poirot wires Interpol. Felix, Zara, and the boy. Spotted in Cairo, living as the Harrogate troupe. A silent film. The gruesome find, premiering next month. Jap. We'll nab 'em at the red carpet. Poirot returns the miniature guillotine to the mantel. The blade is plastic. A prop. Poirot to the fire. The impossible crime was cinema. The horror, believing it. Chapter 9. The premiere 8:30 p.m. The desert night is cool, scented with jasmine and diesel. Electric bulbs spell the gruesome find. World premiere in Arabic and English. A brass band plays Alexander's ragtime band, off-key. Crowds press against velvet ropes. Pashas in tarbooshes, flappers in cloche hats, journalists with flashbulbs like artillery. Hercule Poirot stands across the street in the shadow of a date palm, coat collar up, hat brim low. Inspector Jap, in plain clothes, chews a toothpick beside him. Jap. Whole troops inside. Harrogate, Zara, the boy, Egyptian police on standby. Poirot's eyes glitter. Poirot. Parfait. Tonight the film ends. 1. The red carpet, 8:45 p.m. Felix Harrogate steps from a white rolls. Alive. Tanned. Smiling that carved smile. Real this time. He wears white tie, a crimson rose in his lapel. Cameras explode. Felix, to reporters. Death? A publicity stunt. The real mystery is on screen. Madame Zara follows, draped in black sequins, the boy, Reginald, on her arm in a miniature tuxedo. He waves like a prince. Zara, soft. The house lives forever. 2. The lobby, 9:00 p.m. Inside, the foyer is a riot of gold leaf and cigarette haze. A scale model of Blackthorn Abbey dominates. Cardboard gargoyles, cotton wool fog. Poirot slips past unnoticed. He finds the projection booth, a steel door guarded by a sleepy Egyptian sergeant. Poirot palms a £5 note. The door opens. 3. The real, 9:15 p.m. The projectionist, a boy of 16, loads the final reel. Poirot examines the cans. 4. The screening, 9:30 p.m. Lights dim. The audience hushes. Title card, directed by F. Harrogate, starring F. Harrogate. The film begins, exact recreation of the Abbey weekend. Poirot watches from the wings, every impossible moment, the chandelier crash, the locked door, the blood circle, all staged, the throat cuts, Caro syrup, the mirror tunnel, Pepper's ghost illusion. The audience gasps, laughs, applauds. At the final scene, the library chair, Felix rises from death, bows to camera. Felix, on screen. The greatest trick, making you believe. The screen fades to black. Standing ovation. 5. The arrest, Testaskias p.m. House lights up. Poirot steps onto the stage. The audience thinks it's part of the show. Poirot, amplified. Mesdames et messieurs, the performance is over, but the crime remains, he signals. Egyptian police flood the aisles. Felix's smile freezes. Felix. This is art. You can't. Poirot. Art does not defraud insurance companies of 50,000. Art does not terrorize a child for publicity. You staged a death. We staged justice. Zara lunges, dagger from her sleeve. Jap intercepts, twists her wrist. The boy, Reginald, laughs. Reginald. Cut. Print. 6. The confession, 10:30 p.m. Backstage under guard. Felix slumps in a director's chair. Felix. Fine. The Abbey was bankrupt. I needed a vanish. Zara's a cult act. Perfect cover. The boy, my real son, trained him since birth. Zara. We'll be legends, like Whodunit. Poirot. Whodunit escapes honestly. You escaped with lies. He produces the insurance policy, forged signatures. Poirot. 5 years, minimum. Cairo Central Prison. 7. The boy, 11 os p.m. Poirot kneels to Reginald. Poirot. Petit, the camera stops. You're free. The boy's eyes, real tears now. Reginald. Was any of it true? Poirot. The fear in your eyes? That was true. The rest? Smoke. He gives the boy the miniature guillotine, blade removed. Poirot. A souvenir. Remember, truth is the only magic. 8. Epilogue. London, Christmas Eve. Poirot's flat. Snow taps. The window. On the mantel, the guillotine, now a paperweight. A postcard arrives. Brussels postmark. Front. The boy and Evelyn smiling in front of the atomium. Anachronistic, but real. Back. Thank you, monsieur. The nightmare is over. We're making a new film. Comedy. Poirot pins it beside the cat's home check. 50,000, or recovered. He raises a glass of creme de menthe. Poirot. To the little grey cells, and to children who choose laughter over fear. Chapter 10. The final cut. Hercule Poirot stands on Westminster Bridge, coat collar high, breath pluming. In his gloved hand, a single reel of film, unlabelled, delivered by hand at dawn. The courier, a boy in a newsboy cap, vanished into the snow. Poirot has not opened it. He knows what it contains. 1. The reel, it's 10:15 a.m. Back in Baker Street, the flat is warm with cedar and chocolate. George sets up a hand-crank projector on the dining table. Poirot threads the film. The wall becomes a screen. Title card, handwritten, for Monsieur P, the true ending. The image flickers. Blackthorn Abbey, not the cardboard model. Real stone, gargoyles leering. But the date stamp reads December 31st, 1926, after demolition. Felix Harrogate stands in the ruined Great Hall, coat flapping in wind. Zara beside him, hair wild. Reginald, older now, eyes hard, holds a clapperboard. Scene 1, take 1. Felix, on film to camera. They thought they buried us, but the Abbey lives in us, one last performance, for the detective who never sleeps. 2. The confession, 10:20 a.m. The film cuts to Cairo prison interviews, grainy, secret. Felix in stripes. Felix. We planned the arrest, bribed the guards. The prison scenes, shot in a studio. We walked out the back door. Zara in a cell that is clearly a set. Zara. The mirror swallowed me. Smoke and mirrors. A trapdoor. The boy, safe in Switzerland, real school this time. Reginald, close up. Reginald. I'm done acting. This reel is my resignation. 3. The escape, 10:25 a.m. Montage. Final shot. The Abbey ruins at dusk. A crane shot rises, revealing the demolition crew paid actors. The Abbey was never demolished. It stands intact. Windows dark. Voiceover. Felix, Felix. Blackthorn Abbey is ours now. A permanent set. Next picture. Poirot's Folly. You're the star, monsieur. Come find us. The reel ends. Burn mark. White screen. 4. The response. Poirot stops the projector. He opens a drawer, removes the miniature guillotine. Reel blade now, sharpened. He slices the reel into ribbons. Poirot, non. The game ends here. He telephones Scotland Yard, Interpol My 5. Poirot, Felix Harrogate is alive. Location, Blackthorn Abbey. Send everyone. 5. The raid, 3 p.m, Saltmarsh. Armed police cordon the cliffs. Poirot arrives by police launch, Jap at his side. The Abbey looms, whole, lights blazing. A marquee reads, now filming Poirot's Folly. They breach the gates. Inside, crew, dozens in 1920s dress, cameras roll. Felix in director's chair, megaphone raised. Felix, action! Police swarm. Felix stands, arms wide. Felix, too late, the scene's live, broadcast to every cinema in Europe. Poirot sees the projection tower, a radio mast disguised as a gargoyle. Poirot, cut the power. Jap shoots the transformer. Sparks. Darkness. 6. The final scene. 3:15 p.m. In the library, Poirot finds Felix alone. The high-back chair waits. Felix. Sit, monsieur. One last interview. Poirot circles. Poirot. You faked death twice. Defrauded nations. Terrorized a child. For art? Felix. For legacy. You solve crimes. I create them. Poirot notices the razor mechanism. Armed. Poirot. Sit you. Felix laughs, sits, snick. The blade flashes. Felix's eyes widen. Felix. Wait, prop blade. Real. Blood sprays. Felix slumps. Truly dead this time. Poirot steps back. Poirot. Soft. Justice. Directed by fate. 7. The aftermath. Zara and Reginald. Real surrender. Zara. He insisted on authenticity. The blade was my idea. The boy hugs Poirot's leg. Reginald. No more films. Police catalogue. 8. Epilogue. Brussels, spring 1927. Poirot visits Reginald at school. The boy runs to him, shows a drawing, a house with no doors. Reginald. For my new story, no one gets in. Poirot pins the guillotine paperweight. Blade removed on the boy's desk. Poirot. Write truth, mon petit. The camera lies. The pen, sometimes, does not. Alistair. Gentle, final. Chapter 10 ends with the Abbey silent forever, the director dead by his own prop, and a boy free to write his own ending. Tell me below, 12:21 p.m. PKT, November 10th, 2025. This is the true final cut. Subscribe, bell on, share with a friend who loves a twist. Next season, a murder in a radio studio. This is Alistair Gray, Cozy Crimson Mysteries.